Enough is enough.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Indie Wrestling Corner with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host, as always, the queen of the indies, Tiffany. And today, I don't know, should I announce you as like the water boy? I feel like.
I mean, do you have to even bring that up? Do we have
I'm,
to get right out the gates like that,
I'm,
Tiff?
I'm
I mean,
sorry. I'm sorry. All right. It's my good friend,
kind of
Chase Del Monte. How are you?
starting us off with a kick in the balls. I mean,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Guys, if you're new to the Indie Wrestling Corner with Under the Ropes, here I interview everything independent wrestling, whether it's wrestlers, promoters, referees, behind the stage. I got you covered. If you guys got questions for Chase, please feel free. Drop them into the chat. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And if you guys could like and share the stream for me, I would greatly appreciate it. Hey, TJ Crawford's in the chat. What's up? I miss
oh,
you. TJ Crawford. How
hey, boo.
how are you, man? So sick green screen he set. So I love it. I love it. So let me see. Who else is it? Captain Dave's into the chat. Habiki. I see I got Jay. And we're live with the official the official water boy of the unit, Jay says. Shit.
Man, that didn't take long. See what you started, Tiff?
I didn't start it, you know?
You encouraged it.
Okay, maybe just a little bit. So I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. So, all right. So let's start this off. I usually start my podcast off in a certain way, but the way that once I put it out into social media land, it kind of has to start this interview off a little bit differently. So, you put a tweet out, and you shared it, and actually the unit shared it first and said, we'll let AC make the decision allowing Chase to do this podcast. He better watch what he says or it's a pounce in his future. What are your thoughts about all of this?
It's my everyday life ever since December, and losing to JT is just getting torn across the coals by the unit, Ace Romero, JT Dunn, the whole lot of them. But they were so kind to let me do some press. I'm not allowed to hold a microphone or do much at my own shows anymore. So any chance to get in front of the people and actually speak, I was quick to jump on. I do have to be mind my P's and Q's, as it were, when it comes to my current director of wrestling operations, JT Dunn, and his gaggle of fellas. And we'll keep it at that. Yeah.
Wow. So there you have it. Jay in the chat says, hypothetically, I was originally the OG water boy. I had that Carolina blue unit tank top first.
Oh, wow. Well, sorry. I surprised JT, when he actually saw the baby blue. He didn't think there was many of those left. But so he only thought that the one I had was the last one. So it looks like I have a fellow baby blue brother.
Well, so you know what? We're gonna talk about chaotic, okay? Because we're not gonna spend so much time on the unit. We're gonna try not to. But I have a feeling we're gonna swing back to the unit. But I want to talk about chaotic as a whole. So I feel here we go. So I'm greatly appreciative that I finally was able to come up to Massachusetts and I got to see the last show. So it was so great. If you guys haven't seen my little clips, definitely go back on the Indie Talks episode on the channel as well. So for people who haven't been watching or new to the company, can you tell us a little bit about Chaotic?
Absolutely. So Chaotic Wrestling was started in 2000 by different ownership, of course. The ownership has changed hands a little bit over the years, but really it started off as one of the premier wrestling organizations outside, Boston in the North Shore area. They had a school combined with it called the Chaotic Training Center, which eventually merged with Killer Kowalski's professional school of professional wrestling, all under the name Chaotic Training Center. this school and the building, which then came on to become the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, which I now own, has launched more stars to the WWE than any other school in the world, which is a trivia fact that I haven't really much confirmed, but I'm going to continue to say until anyone proves me wrong. We started with Aaron Stevens way back when that was probably 2003, right when I started. Palmer Cannon, Chad Dick, Ivar, Kofi, Sasha Banks, Tommaso Ciampa, Carmelo Hayes, Christian Casanova, just recently enough, the names and stars that have come out of our school, Flip Gordon, the list just kind of goes on and on. It's one of the reasons why we call ourselves the birthplace of stars. Our wrestling product, as you will, is very serialized, very storyline driven. Every kind of match, every kind of show really means something. And I think that's what our audiences really come to see.
That's great. Like, I love, I'm constantly learning about promotions, I feel like, because it's like never ending and it's impossible to keep up with. It's nuts. VSW podcast in the chat, they said, hey, and Jay also said, as long as I'm in the chat, that could be the unit bias. Oh boy. Okay. I see. I told you, like, I don't know so how this is going to go, but, yeah. And recently, which I loved that you guys had on Twitch, pretty much it was like an all day stream and we got to watch like a whole bunch of also like promotions as well, and see a bunch of matches. So clearly I was in there because I was snowed in too, which sucked. I'm ready for spring to start because I'm over the shit, but it was really cool to see the different matches from all over the place that I didn't even know existed myself.
Yeah, that's one thing that, once me and my business partner at the time, Brian Fury, took over, one thing is, since we were both local wrestlers, what we really wanted to do is work with other promotions. For a very long time, lots of different promotions create these, kind of like rehashes of the Monday Night Wars, thinking that each company is in some sort of direct competition and has to like run the other one out of town, and just these kind of crazy ideas. And, it was important to us to kind of break down those walls and really show companies working together. So many of us use the same talent in the same area and stuff. There's no reason for all the backbiting and fighting. If there can be money made by working together, we should all be doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also hard for like the fans too, because it's like you support a particular wrestler, let's just say wrestler A, and like I'm definitely known for it, and like if I really like somebody, I'm gonna start like looking up stuff even from things in the past. I mean, shout out to Arcadia today because he posted a clip and I was like, what year was this? What show was this? I was like, because I need to go back. And then Eric Corvus wrote me back. It was like a 2012 match. And I'm like, okay. I was like, it's on the list to watch myself. So, but it's cool because again, like there was matches that I didn't even know existed, or if it's matches that I had seen already, it's fun to rewatch because you forget how good some of the matches were. So definitely love that. I got excited for Private Party and MSP. That was such a great match on that. So definitely follow that on Twitch. Yes, I will be there Friday. If anybody's asking, I'm taking the ride up to Massachusetts. I'll be there, so come bother me. So I'd love to meet everybody. So you brought up the school. So let's talk about the school. So again, like there's a lot of fans that tune into this podcast. They love to learn whether that they want to get into training, whether they started training, or maybe they're looking for additional training. Can you give us a little bit of the background of the school?
Sure. Once again, the name of the school is the New England Pro Wrestling Academy. We were ran outside of right in North Andover, which is right outside Boston. It's about 20 minutes north of the city. Again, the school traces its lineage right back to Killer Kowalski, who had a school in Malden for right about until 2003. It was actually the reason that I myself moved from New Jersey up to Massachusetts, was to train under Killer Kowalski. When I went to actually visit him, he actually wasn't taking on new students, and he gave me a flyer to then go up to the Chaotic Training Center. I drove up there that day, kind of handed in my information, drove back to see my sister get married, and started the very next day.
Wow.
So, for anybody who's looking to train, of course, since I do own the school, my opinion is a little bit biased, but I really do think that we are the best training school in the country. As I said, there's nobody who's launched more stars to the WWE than us. Kofi Kingston, Sasha Banks, to have two students who trained and only trained at our school go on to become WWE, main picture champions. I think that's a pretty cool accolade. It also helps us that we don't really have to do too much advertising. Our school and our lineage kind of speaks for itself. So we have a pretty steady influx of students looking to, follow in the footsteps of our alumni.
Is this a thing that like training's like every day? Is it certain days? Like
currently we run Tuesdays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6:30 to 9, and Saturdays 12 to 2. That's the active training days. The building itself is open from 5 to 10 Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Saturdays 11 to 3. We have this new cool fancy door that you can swipe in with your phone. So outside business hours, different students have different access, but the building itself is open even if I'm not there to open it up right at 5 o'clock. We offer open ring time as well. Different kind of rates for different, other students who have had some other training and are just looking to sharpen their skills or might have moved to the area. Everything can be found on our website. I don't even know my own website. I think it's neprowrestling.com.
Awesome. That's so exciting. So I want to talk about this. So, the last show, if you guys didn't watch it, again, make sure you're subscribed on Twitch. You could go back. You can watch all old shows as well. So JT announced that, your new position, along with you're no longer allowed to wrestle, that he ripped up your contract,
Yes, he did. So, at the stipulations in our show, December, final fight, I unfortunately lost to JT, and active control of Chaotic Wrestling was on the line. So I am a man of my word, and I have turned over full control of wrestling operations to JT. I didn't know exactly what that would mean for me. JT told me that he did have something in mind for me that I knew was not going to be a very good thing for me. When I saw the outfit and the water bottles, my heart sank a little bit, got a little pit in my stomach, but I actually was a athletic trainer in high school. So, manning the water bottles and keeping them full, was something that I had to do for many, many years. So I'm well versed in that. I can tape an ankle or two if needed. So maybe I'm just kind of going back to my roots. That's at least how I'm trying to look at it, and helps me sleep at night.
I mean, I have no words. Like, I really have no words for this. And then, I see them, this one wants it extra cold. This one wants it room temperature. You guys are being freaking extra over here. Yeah. All right?
Yeah. You don't even know the half of it. The requests and texts that I get, they want different colored bottles and their names on each one, a separate rack. Ace wants a 6-pack of water bottles all to himself. It's a lot to manage. It's like a tour rider for a very extra rock band. Oy,
my goodness. I have no words for you guys. I really don't. I don't know. So Jay says, liked how it started versus how it's going. Yeah, I guess so. But you know what? So I like asking the opinion of people that are coming onto this podcast. I clearly know you. But it's always fun to ask for a fan that's never seen you wrestle before, what is the go-to match that you would tell them, to watch to become a fan of yours?
Jeez, that's actively online and ready to see. That's pretty hard,
I know there's a lot. There's usually something that sticks out though.
There's a really good one that I think we released in the last year or so between me and who was then Donovan Dijak, who then became Dominic Dijakovic in NXT and now is on the main roster as T-Bar. Mm-hmm. It was a last man standing match. It was a bloodbath for those of you who are into some of the hardcore carnage. Took about 5 staples to open up the gash that I put into Dijak's head that night. But that's a really good one. A lot of the chaotic footage, it's something that we've been working on for years. the old owners were very hesitant to let go of any of their product and put it onto YouTube. So a lot of our greatest hits and lots of our matches haven't really seen the light of day, and that's something we've been looking for a platform for, and to really showcase and kind of get out a lot of our kind of like old history. We have so many matches again with some of the stars of today having some of their first matches, and some matches that even still hold up to the test of time. So that is something that we are actively working to. That match with Dijak, though, for sure, that's up there. And I don't know, throw Chase Del Monte into your YouTube. I'm fucking fantastic. Every match you'll see will be one that'll make you a fan of me.
That's so awesome. So yeah, I do that all the time. Every once in a while, that I go back and I'm like, okay, let's go into YouTube, because it's that easy. And it's like you can type wrestler A, and then it's like, okay, and come up with all this stuff, and you'd be surprised.
I'm not ashamed to admit that I often, vanity search myself in YouTube for cardio, and I'll just, throw myself into YouTube, and sometimes I find matches that I don't even remember I had.
It's gotta be odd, right? Like, especially like growing up to like where wrestling was like back then, to where we are now. And now we have all these apps, it was pretty much like you had to catch it on cable at that time. There was, or unless you got the VCR back then. I'm really showing my age. But anyway, like you recorded those. I always like to talk about the illegal cable boxes that we used to have those, and and now we have all these apps and YouTube and Fight TV and, Twitch and IWTV. It's amazing. How is it like for you, like from where it was like back then wrestling to where we are now?
Wow. I mean, you're really going to make me date myself to go all the way back. But,
I'm with you. It's okay. I'm with you.
Growing up in the 80s and stuff, like there was a family kind of in my neighborhood, small town in New Jersey called Allenhurst, and they were kind of like the big wrestling fan family. Mm-hmm. So they used to have kind of like the pay-per-view events, and I went to a small Catholic school for grade school, so basically like all the kids in my like basically school that were into wrestling, like there would be 20-25 of us just packed into their living room watching wrestling pay-per-views, and then usually running outside right after to just do the matches that we just kind of watched.
Yeah.
But to the slow progression into like the 90s, then we had some friends with the illegal pay-per-view boxes and stuff for a friend who would just kind of order the pay-per-views, to now where it's just on everybody's cell phone. It's crazy. Yeah. I remember when I went off to college, that was kind of like my big worry about being in the dorms. It was right around the time where Raw went from first dropped from USA, and I believe went to TNN, if I remember that correctly, if I'm saying the station name. So. But I remember going off to college and not knowing how I was going to like watch Raw, and that being like, much more earth shattering to me than anything about like leaving home or like, my education or anything like that. It was just like, how am I going to be able to watch wrestling? Nowadays, if you don't want, like, who watches actual live television? You have DVR or watching it, on streams online. It's crazy to see how far the business has come in a relatively, short period of time.
It's nuts. It's hard. I mean, we were talking before we went live, and I was saying how I try to support so many different promotions and talent, and like, again, like I was watching Limitless before. I was like, okay, I'll finish like later. Now I can go back and I could go finish like Limitless. So it's wild. And again, a million promotions out there, and I can't keep up. So if anybody could still figure out how they can clone me. So we need, who was it in the chat the other day was saying, they're like, we need like 8 Tiffany's, because like, she supports so many different people. So,
God bless you.
Yeah, I try. Jay says, having trained Christian, how are you of where he is now?
Couldn't be happier for him or prouder of him. Christian was, as he, calls himself, top talent. From the day he walked into the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, I mean, he had the swagger, he had the look, he had the charisma. Everything else really does just come with time. He put in his time on the indies. He really did learn and hone his craft. He was young. I think makes a lot of mistakes that, some of that we all made as kids. I know I sure as hell did. And I think that might have slowed him down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But a talent, as good as Christian, there is no holding that kind of talent back. And it is always, as the Macho Man says, the cream is going to rise to the top.
That's awesome. So I want to talk about like traveling, because you guys travel all over the place to wrestle, which is really cool. And you guys get to go like out of like not just like whether I'm in New York, Massachusetts, but like completely going out of the United States. I mean, you got to go to UK last year. You tell us some of like your favorite moments, some of your favorite places that you got to eat. Like give us a little bit about that.
So that, I mean, again, you have to remember that when I was really active and on the road was, probably well over 10 years ago. Yeah. So it was a different wrestling business. The days of people getting flown out, and paid decent paydays, to work all over the United States. I mean, that just didn't happen. If you were, if anyone was getting flown in, into Chaotic from 2000 to 2014, 15, it was a big WWE name, like, either, someone who's been on the roster, recently, and a younger guy, or some sort of legend. But, independent talent getting flown around the world just wasn't as, prevalent back then. So a lot of my traveling was mostly by car, stretches up to Canada. Me and the Logan brothers, we worked for ECWA down in Delaware for the first pretty much like 7 years of our career. So, we had basically a show every month down in Delaware for 7 years. So those kind of drives, it really just became kind of like a loop, with Chaotic and the other shows that we were working. It almost became somewhat of like a programmed kind of like schedule. We had Chaotic one weekend, ECWA the next one, a show in Jersey, then a different kind of show. And then it was just like right back to Chaotic the next week, ECWA. Yeah. Like it was just kind of like a monthly schedule. Mm-hmm. So I guess we didn't really do the exotic travels again. Probably the problem with my misspent youth. But we would usually try to find friends to stay with, or kind of go out with. Down in Delaware where I went to school, in Villanova isn't too far away. So usually all those shows we would head up after the show to the Philadelphia area and go out drinking. So usually the food of the next day was whatever we could get quick and into our stomachs and on the road.
Yeah. Is there a spot though, like that you have, or no?
There is a little spot. It's actually that I found recently. There's this little place called the Corner Deli in Hamden, Connecticut. It's right next to Quinnipiac. Awesome sandwiches. Like very quick. Great place on the road. It's kind of halfway between New Jersey and Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. So it's a great little like rest spot for anybody that I'm booking from down there that's coming up to Chaotic. Stop by Corner Deli.
Oh, there you go. Write it down, guys. You never know. Sometimes like I hear stuff on the pod, and then if I go, I gotta go check it out. So
hey, yeah, you're coming up from that way. You should check it out.
I know. We'll see. So as a wrestler, like you work so many different, types, like singles, tag, scrambles, rumbles, all that fun stuff. Is there anything still on your bucket list that you would still love to be a part of?
Nothing that comes right to my head. I've had ladder matches. I've had cage matches. Iron Man 2 out of 3. I really think the tag team cage matches, I really think we've kind of scratched all those itches. Mm-hmm. I think these days I kind of prefer tag teams because it's half as much work as a singles match. I can let the other guy carry my old ass for some of the match. But no, it's been a kind of a, nice and easy transition that it's hard to kind of really say like when it all really happened. I kind of very just organically and naturally kind of got more into the back end of Chaotic Wrestling, which then eventually led to me buying the company and owning it. For a while there, I wasn't really in the forefront. I was just still wrestling and kind of doing my thing. And then as the pandemic hit and I lost my business partner, it really then just became kind of all onto my shoulders. And, so it really was never kind of like a crafted plan or anything where I was kind of like checking boxes on things I wanted to do. Everything just kind of came and, I just took it as it went. So there really wasn't really any kind of grand plan. I mean, I guess there is probably some sort of crazy match that I've never done that, would I still do it? Yeah, because I'm a crazy person and I would. But, not looking for any sort of big gimmick matches. We'll save those for the kids.
Okay, okay. Well, Jay said AEW dark appearance.
AEW dark appearance. Who knows? I'll never say never. I obviously want WWE, AEW, Impact, everywhere to do as good as they can, because what's good for the wrestling business is good for the entire wrestling business.
Yeah.
The better the WWE does, usually that trickles down to everybody else, including AEW and, Impact and ROH when they were running. The more places that are open and running and, viable makes more jobs for the boys, which obviously I'm in support of. So that means more jobs for people paying my friends to do what they love, and keeps my businesses running as well, because as long as the wrestling business is doing well, that means more people are going to want to get into the wrestling business, and that means they need to learn, and there's no better place to learn than doing a pro wrestling academy. But, as much like I'm not actively seeking an AEW dark appearance or, WWE tryout, I'm very comfortable in the role that I've, found myself in, trying to be somewhat of a mentor to the next generation. I think my services are better served there. We'll leave, the AEW dark appearances for, the kids who are really trying to, really make it and do something of it. They don't need an old man who's just really there for the catering.
Oh, no, don't say that. Don't say that. But I know there's a lot of wrestlers out there that they don't want to get signed, that they like where they are. They just like, being in the indies, whether they stay just locally or, maybe once in a while they appear somewhere else, like at another promotion, which is really cool. So, I mean, I'm not going to complain. I mean, I want all my favorites to stay in the indies. Like, I want to come see you wrestle. So...
I'm more than happy to help people get as good as they can get at the art of professional wrestling and help them as much as I can along the way. But this is one less guy looking for a job, that's for sure. I'm not looking for any sort of full-time roster or traveling position. I don't think my body could handle it.
He said, Jay also said, I know your chaotic wrestling contract is no more, but is JT going to let you wrestle any other promotion if you want to? That's a good question.
That is a good question, Jay. So JT doesn't control my active wrestling career outside of chaotic wrestling. So I am free to do as I want outside of chaotic. Will I pop up here and there? I don't know. That would kind of kill a surprise if I told you, but never say never. I'm around. My boots are downstairs kind of collecting dust for now, but I can always throw them in a bag and grab my pair of shorts and maybe you'll see me at a local show. Who knows?
There you go. That's why you're supposed to be following him. Make sure you follow him on socials, which we'll get into later on in the show. So I have a bunch of fan questions and fan tweets and all that fun stuff. So we're going to start with Dom. He goes, who are some of your big inspirations in wrestling growing up?
Shawn Michaels was huge. He was pretty much my inspiration to get into professional wrestling. Triple H was also another big one. It's actually, my fandom of Triple H is what led me to kind of, follow his career, figure out that, he trained with Killer Kowalski, which then led me up to Boston. Stone Cold was also a huge influence. The Attitude Era, that's what really kind of sucked me back into professional wrestling, like full bore, and led to me, again, becoming such a fan that grew to such an extent that I actively then tried to pursue, professional wrestling outside of college. I think those would probably be my big three. Oh, and Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam was a big influence as well.
Okay. So we have another fan tweet from our good friends, Good Cop, Bad Cop. Shout out to them. He loves to mess with everybody that comes onto this podcast. So he says, with Chase Del Monte being an anagram of elect handsome, who gets your vote for the most handsome indie wrestler? I can't even keep a straight face.
Wow. Is that true? Elect handsome?
He does. I don't know. He comes up for everybody. Everybody gets a different question on this podcast.
Wow. That's dedication. That is the most in-depth question I've ever gotten asked. The most handsome, I mean, it'll probably do me well to say JT Dunn. He is currently somewhat my active boss, and I'll give it to him. He's a handsome fellow.
Okay. He said top 3 though, so now you got to pick 2 other.
3. Oh Jesus. Let's see. You're gonna get me in trouble.
He was like JT. There you go.
There we go.
Brownie points. I'm dead.
I think handsome will go easy when you have all 3 people on the same ballot.
Okay, I guess we'll move on from that because we got to get the brownie points pretty much. So we have a fan tweet from Tyler. He says, "Does Chase collect wrestling action figures? And if so, which one is his favorites?" I saw the little interaction going on Twitter about this.
I hate you, Cintron. I do not collect wrestling figures at all. I know that is a huge, kind of subculture of professional wrestling. I have nothing against it. I just don't actively engage in said subculture. Mr. Cintron, that's Tyler who's requesting it. I am in ownership of 3 bald Shawn Michaels action figures that someone who I have no idea who it could be, certainly not the person asking this question, has sent me and arranged to get into my office at various times. But I have an ever-growing collection of bald Shawn Michaels figures.
Oh my God.
It's horrifying. It's as horrifying as it sounds.
Is it hung up somewhere or like?
Oh no, they're just strewn about my desk.
Sorry, this is hysterical. Somebody breaks into your office to leave wrestling I have so many questions.
It's wrestlers. Somebody puts it into. He gives it to someone. They put it into their bag. Then when I'm off teaching and in the rings, my door's usually open. So then when someone sneaks it in and puts it somewhere, it's a whole thing.
Oh my God. I have no words for this.
This is professional wrestling. The lengths that people will go to for a minor ha-ha.
I can't even continue this interview anymore. I'm sorry. Oh man, yeah, the collections are serious though with some of these people. I have a little corner piece in my room here with a couple little things that are very meaningful to me, and that's it. Like,
yeah, I'm not a collectibles guy. I don't have much in the way of like collections or anything, especially wrestling related. Lots of people have collected like posters and stuff, that they were on over the years. I might have a handful. The only thing I really have that I'm actually very happy that I took. We did a show once at an Air Force base, and I guess the Air Force base got some of our like promotional stuff like off the website, and I was champion at the time, so they actually took like my promo shot from the website and blew it up into like a cardboard cutout from like the torso up. And as I was leaving the show, I saw it, like it was just on this kind of like big like like poster board like kind of area, like a big like kind of standing diorama, and like I like saw myself and I was just like, can I have that? And the person in the front hall, like, they didn't give a shit. They were like, yeah, go nuts for it. They didn't even realize it. I don't even think they realized it was me. So I took that off the wall and actually sat it with me shotgun and fastened the seatbelt, next to me as I was driving home to Lowell. And true story, I got pulled over. And so I had cardboard me like seat belted in, and the cop came in and like asked for my license and registration. I no sold it, and as I reached over to the glove compartment, he shone the light, and he's like, "Is that you?" Like, yeah, that's me. He's just like, "All right, you got to explain." So, I told him that we just did a tribute show for a local Air Force base and stuff. I'm a local wrestler, blah blah blah, and I'm just heading home. And he thought it was hysterical. He was just like, "That's pretty awesome. Here's your stuff. Have a nice night." Didn't even bring up why he pulled me over or anything. Just let me go.
Saved you on a damn ticket, pretty much.
So Cardboard Chase is around here someplace,
Shit.
framed.
Is that the
It's usually up on my wall.
Is that the key? Do I have to start driving around with a cardboard Tiffany pretty much?
Well, see, that's the thing. You have to have somebody make it for you. That's when you know you made it.
That's awesome. That's freaking awesome. That's a great story. I love that. So part of my interviews, I've been incorporating this into every interview that come on, anybody that comes onto this podcast, because it became very part of the Indie Wrestling Corner. It's very special to me. There's so much negativity out there. Me being able to podcast, me having a lot of friends that are wrestlers, me being able, all the opportunities that I get, I know a lot. I witness a lot of positivity. So I'd love to focus with that now. So have you had any moments that stick out to you, whether something you've done for a fan, something you've done for a wrestler, maybe a wrestler's done for you, maybe a fan's done for you, something positive that like a normal fan wouldn't hear about that you could share with us?
Sure. One I will share was this summer we debuted a new title called the Panoptic Title. Tiffany, I'm sure you're aware of it.
Yes.
We retired our women's title in an effort to, ungender all of our titles. Becca had challenged for the New England title at this point. Davey had won the tag team title. She was actively challenging for the heavyweight title. So we had already kind of looked at all of our other titles as already kind of breaking these gender norms, and we had left over, a women's single title, which was the only kind of title left that, again, was kind of exclusive of gender. So we went with this kind of Panoptic title, for representation for the entire LGBTQIA plus community, and really wanted to kind of focus on representation and kind of bringing that to light. And the night after, and there was a lot of thought and kind of, effort put into the creation of the title and how we were going to roll it out. And the day after, social media can be, a mixed bag of a place. So we saw a lot of positivity and a lot of negativity, but one fan reached out to me through social media and said how moved she was by what we did last night, announcing the title, and that she has just, recently herself kind of come to grips with, being non-binary, and to, have her favorite wrestling promotion just, unbeknownst to her, kind of bring this up and put such a spotlight on it. She, said she was like moved to tears, and just like even kind of thinking about it and writing the message, and just how like moved she was by it. And, for all the kind of other negative kind of comments and hate and other kind of stupid things that kind of came through, like I always hang my hat on like, and there was other messages like that to follow. But like that one message, that meant the world to me. Like to bring that much positivity into somebody's life, like that makes, all the negativity go away.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's what I say. That is why I focus on this. I feel like it's very important to bring to the table to anybody, especially with this channel. And I like to bring those moments up because you never know. You need the tissues for some of these moments. And if anybody's interested, I'm still till Wednesday. I am putting together another Wrestling with Positivity. Anything that comes to mind, indie wrestling, I am screening stories. If you want to be a part of it, hit me up in the DMs. So looking for anything to be shared. So since we talked about the positive and everything like that, here I'm bringing back an old fun question of the podcast, so we can have a haha moment. What's the craziest thing a fan's done to get your attention?
Wow.
We've had some great stories on this podcast, so
Yeah, so I'll just kind of run through a list. I mean, I don't know if we want to rank them. So one year on my birthday, a fan had a like white T-shirt airbrushed with like my name and likeness on the back, and handed it to me as I was coming to the ring, like completely unbeknownst. So that one kind of took me off guard. I didn't even know they knew it was my birthday.
Oh.
Let's see. What else? So I've had a couple dolls made of me when I was a heel. I think they were more like voodoo dolls. But that was an interesting one.
Wait, did they have pins in it?
No, they were just kind of they had like printed out my face and put it on this little kind of like like hacky sack kind of doll. a mini chase, as it were. That was an interesting one. Some of the fans still that come so early to our shows. The line sometimes will start even in the dead of winter at 4 o'clock when we're getting there, just with the ring truck to set things up. And, they're kind of already there waiting, asking us about, the show and who's going, and just kind of, asking about what, the show that night and stuff. It's crazy to see the level of involvement. Of course we love to see it. But man, you do have to step back and sometimes just laugh at, just the veracity of the fandom.
Yeah, that's dedication there. I'm not gonna lie, I'm part of that too. I'm there. I am there. I'm here to support. What's some things you like to do when you're not in the squared circle?
I'm a pretty avid video game player. I got my PlayStation 5 last March. I was one of the lucky ones. I scoured and finally found it. I don't have all that much free time. With being a wrestler for so long, I mean, I look at the gym and kind of going to the gym is not really my free time. That's part of that's just kind of part of life, waking up in the morning, going for a run, getting back there to lift. Mondays I have, this is my free time.
Yeah.
Then, for this week, Tuesday I'll be at the wrestling school, Wednesday and Thursday the same, getting ready for the show, and then Friday's show. And Saturday will finally be kind of like the hangover and get back to real life for a little bit before Monday comes around and does it all again.
Yeah. So I have two final questions left for you, and then we'll get into more detail of the shows coming up and everything. If anybody else has any questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat. So I actually like this question that I figure is like it would be a great answer to come out of it. So what do you want your legacy to be?
Wow. So, that's kind of coming off what I said before. My whole kind of career has, sometimes I guess maybe even lacked focus, but has really, I've been fortunate enough to just kind of always be in the right place in the right time. So I've never really kind of imagined when I talk to students that are looking to sign up at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy, and they're kind of telling me their dreams, and I still remember sitting on the other side of the desk, talking to Jamie Jamakowski, the old owner of Chaotic, and having this same kind of conversation with him. So I mean, I feel really fortunate that I think I've already somewhat kind of created a legacy for myself and just keeping Chaotic afloat through the new ownership and kind of the new product that we're looking to establish. I'd like to think that my work will be remembered fondly by those who got to see it. I'd like to think that the people I've shared a ring with will look back on me and be happy that they did, and enjoy working with me. And I really guess now as the owner of the school, my real legacy that I look forward to is having that live on through my students, and watching them hopefully achieve heights that I never could or did.
Right. Wow, that's great. So with that, I love ending all my interviews off with this question. So for those amateur and inspiring, wrestlers out there, what's a piece of advice that you would give them?
Do it. Just, I guess to steal the line from Nike, do it. It's worth it. It's going to be the hardest thing you ever do. That's for sure. You got to go in with your eyes wide open, your mouth shut, and your ears open as well. It's going to take sacrifice. It quite literally will be the hardest thing that you ever undertake in your life, but it'll also be the most rewarding if you stick with it. Again, 18 years in, and there is still nothing quite like being in the ring and, listening to the people and just going out there and having a match. It is, my one true love in this world, and it is all worth it. All the ups, all the downs, all the sadness, all the happiness, everything in between, is 100% worth it. So go for it. You're never too young. You're never too old. Start living your dream.
I love that. With me, supporting with so many different people, I get to watch the really young ones. You see them that there's 16 years old, 17 years old. We're seeing all those young kids, and I'm watching other people that are supporters of the channel that just started their dreams, and just hearing, you know, how excited they are, that they get so excited that they tell me, they'll send me clips of their training. Like, it's amazing. Like, what I could never do it. So I will sit behind I will sit behind the podcast table and live through you guys and support the shit out of all you guys. So like, I will be your biggest advocate here.
But I think that's an important thing. I mean, again, it's another conversation I get into a lot at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy is, you know, wrestling in general is an island of misfit toys. You know, I think everyone, you know, it's such a hodgepodge of people that come over from like so many different, you know, kind of like walks of life. You have somebody who's like, you know, a big time athlete in high school and college, and this is kind of like their career path of like where their athleticism has like followed them or, you know, led them to, similar to like a Flip Gordon. You know, on other hands, you have some people that are more kind of like into the drama, you know, side, and maybe did like theaters and play, and they really love the theatricality and, you know, entertainment kind of side of things, and that's really what they're looking for. You know, there's referees, there's managers, there's, you know, backstage announcers, there's media personalities. Like, there is so much to do within the world of professional wrestling that doesn't include just, you know, strapping on a pair of boots and getting in between the ropes and actually having a match. You know, the wrestling business is a whole wild, just open, you know, business, and there's so much to be a part of. You know, sometimes just to join a wrestling school, it's just to kind of get your foot in the door as a part of that wrestling family. You know, so many people, I think, you know, probably listening to any podcast or walking about wrestling, you know, they want to get into like the booking and stuff and wonder how they can do that. Well, nobody's going to listen to some person off the street book a wrestling show. You know, you need to spend time in the wrestling business. And that doesn't always have to mean, you know, again, in the wrestling ring, actively wrestling, but you need to be around. You need to learn the business. You know, no one's going to listen to an armchair quarterback.
Yeah. So here we are. So here I am. I love it. I love it. So yeah, let's talk about Friday. Again, like I'm really excited. I'm like, I have to make this drive. I was legit like watching the weather because obviously, you know, I'm not going to drive up in a snowstorm or an ice storm. And the trips keep
I'm scared.
No. I talked to Dom yesterday. I was like, how's the weather up there Friday? Like, is it okay? Am I good to come up? Like,
it actually looks like it's going to be pretty warm.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like
40s,
in
right?
the 50s by
Oh,
Saturday.
50s? Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm good.
New England for you.
Yeah, I'll be driving up Friday. So definitely you guys see me. So let's talk about this card. Like, I mean, I have like some of the thumbnails here. Like, I love the quality of these matches. This is what I like about Chaotic, right? So it's always about like 6 matches, and I just love the more of the quality of the matches. Then you get into like a whole shitload of like 12 matches on a card, to be honest with you. So I'm actually bringing a friend that's never seen Chaotic with me on Friday, so that's what I was kind of explaining to her. So she knows JT Dunn because JT's been in House of Glory, so in New York. So she knows JT Dunn. So I keep telling her names, and I was like, oh, you're gonna like this one, you're gonna like this one, and then I'm bringing them on the podcast. So yeah, so this card Friday stacked.
Well, I mean, where do we start? We got Alec Price, who is one of my absolute favorite people. Just to watch, to be around, I don't know. I can't stop laughing. The kid is just, he's a maniac. He's an absolute wild man, both out in the ring and behind the scenes. He is exactly who he looks he is, and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
He'll be taking on everyone's favorite Love Doug.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. I mean, I guess we could kind of bury the lead. JT Dunn and Ace Austin in the main event for the heavyweight title. That to me is, I mean, if you're a fan of wrestling you know, and you want to see an athletic, you know, hard hitting, high flying match, I mean, you got 2 of the absolute best going. Excuse me.
You're good. Yeah, this is a crazy match. I was like, oh shit. I was like, I mean, I've seen Ace Austin in person so many times. Like, oof, this is gonna be hard hitting. Like, oof, my God, I'm here for it.
Yeah. And I mean, on the undercard as well, another athletic match, we got Flip Gordon versus Gal Barkay, the Israeli superstar, a kid who I met over in England this summer, who's kind of like a stray dog that followed me home to the United States, and now I can't seem to get rid of him. Um, but at 20 years old, just turned 20 years old, just a couple, I think literally just last week. I mean, the kid has, nothing but potential, and to now see Flip returning to Chaotic as, somewhat more of the elder statesman here to help work with a newer kid, is a real cool kind of full circle moment for me. Flip and I got really close when he was first around here training at the New England Pro Wrestling Academy before going off to Ring of Honor and really making a name for himself. So for him to come home after, Ring of Honor's closing and to be able to work with, a new student of mine is going to be a real, like, kind of special moment and should be a hell of a match as well.
Fun. So fun.
Yeah. And then we got the Battle of the Queens with Davey and Lish. We might need you in their tip as like guest referee.
Fuck.
Hat trick of queens up in there.
I'm scared. No. These girls are, oh man, they're so good.
If you need to place a bet for the hardest hitting match on the card, it's going to be that one. Both Davey and Lish are no stranger to each other. They've worked each other for over the last, 8 to 10 years. God knows how many times. So you're going to see people with, see a match between two people with long storied history and, emotion between them, real palpable emotion between them. And those girls, when they get going, oof, I don't want to be on the other side of those fists.
Oh, man.
And then I don't know if you saw it right before we went on, but Charlie Cashew has decided on his tag team partner to face the unit. Well, you'll have to watch the video to yourself. Go to YouTube or to any of our social media pages to find it for yourself. But Ricky Smokes has actually decided that he is going to be Brad Cashew's tag team partner. So we will see that this Friday as well. A couple other matches on the card. As you said, we don't really try to blow out of the way with, 10 to 12 match cards. We usually keep it to about 6 or 7. Very rarely do we extend to 8, but we like to give our matches time. We like to keep our shows, tight and to about 2.5 hours. So, I mean, I really think, this card and the cards coming up as well. Nothing but, bangers, as the kids call them.
Yes, I'm here for it. So it was funny. I was wondering, like, who's going to team up with Brad. Like, this is going to be, it's going to be good. I love the video that when they went to the school and they were trying to find, maybe the possibility of a student. And obviously that didn't go very well. One of the students took the pledge. I mean...
Part 2 just got released. So
I gotta go and watch it. So I will definitely go watch. I was dying with that stuff, but yeah. So and then you guys got more shows like coming up too. Like you guys are busy.
February 25th, we're back in Tewksbury with the return of Biff Busick. Already announced Ricky Smokes versus Flip Gordon, and Brad Cashew versus the debuting Brian Johnson, Mecca from ROH. And then just the weekend after that, we are finally back in Dover, New Hampshire for our makeup show for the show that was canceled as a result of the blizzard. I think the card might have to get switched up a little bit, but we're definitely looking forward to bringing wrestling back to New Hampshire.
How exciting. I'm so excited. You guys are killing me. It's like I'm in New York, and then it's like I'm torn now between Jersey and Massachusetts, like, or just New England in general. And I was like, shit. I was like, you guys are killing me because there's only like a lot of times only 4 weekends, and it's like, okay, I gotta plan according to where I'm coming, and it makes it very difficult for me. But I try. But I mean, is this gonna air on Tuesday? Because I know this is not live, the Friday show, correct?
Yes, we are working that out. We're hoping once we get everything kind of announced for Cold Fury that maybe that will be our first live stream. Stay tuned for that. I'm not sure if we have an announced date just yet, but we will be streaming the show in its entirety on our Twitch at a date TBD. Once my editing guy, I don't want to promise anything and hold him to make him promise anything without checking in with him.
It's a lot of work. I've seen like the background of it to like do live stream at shows, and just like shout out to all those guys, everybody that put into work for that between commentary and filming and photographers. Like, you guys are not forgotten about, like you guys are so important.
Shout out to Frankie, my editor from the Strong Style brand. Frankie is the man behind the curtain. He is the man that really does everything. As the owner, or former one who was putting things in control, and now I guess JT gets to step up and take both the accolades and blame. But Frankie really is the guy who's down in the engine room making the things go. Without him editing our shows and just the stuff that he puts out on social media, I really can't sing that guy's praises enough.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's great. Like, I can't thank all of you for everything that you do, so it's like, I'll sit here, for me, and thank you guys for everything that you do, whether you're wrestling or whether, you're putting the stuff together. Like, I know it's a lot, like, and you guys bust your ass to entertain us. So, I can't thank you guys enough for everything that you do. So, let me see what's going on in the chat. Everything Pro Wrestling, what's up? How are you? Go give him some love. We love him over here. Jay said, Chase, I noticed that one of the members of the Shook crew was just in the hospital. Any updates on that?
Yes, I just talked to Bryce. He's doing okay. We're not really sure what we're going to do yet with Bobby. Maybe Bobby Jr. can fill in. It's a poor Shook crew. They've kind of been snake bit since they came into Chaotic. We've tried to book them a couple times. They've really only been both together for one match. So still kind of things up in the air. I literally just kind of got, was texting back and forth with Bryce right before I jumped on here. So Jay, stay tuned. We'll see what we can do. I work well under pressure.
I give you guys a lot of credit. His other question is, now, are all of these shows happening more often because of you or JT? Careful, brownie points.
Yeah. We'll put it I think so far with him in control, it hasn't, I thought it'd be a lot worse, I'd say. He has so far held to his word and really, I think, done right by the company and the roster. We'll see if that continues. So right now, as the owner, as me, the owner, and him as the director of wrestling operations, things are going smoothly. So I think it's really the coordination between us two that is allowing us to run so much and, run so many high-level events. Just have to kind of wait and see how that all boils over.
Awesome. So tell everybody where they could follow you, follow Chaotic, all that fun stuff, where they could buy merch.
So best place to go is chaoticwrestling.com. On Twitter, it is Chaotic Wrestling. That's no G. So leave the G off of wrestling. Chaotic Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram. I'm terrible at social media. I apologize. Tiffany, I probably should have had you cue it up because I am
it's
terrible.
Okay. All those links are in the description below, so you can go give
I'm
everything. Old. No, you're fine. It's good. All those links are in the description, so make sure you go give a follow. Make sure you go subscribe on the Twitch channel. All that fun stuff. Buy the merch. I don't know. Take the pledge if you want to take the pledge. So
don't take the pledge.
Well, I should bring up the what's it called, the pop that Dave called maybe of chasing.
Oh Jesus!
I took the pledge.
The last thing I need.
Ah, shit. So, but yeah, so guys, make sure you're following, watch the stream, support. It's a lot of fun. So hopefully.
Okay. Twitch. Follow us, subscribe on Twitch. That currently is where we are having all of our shows from the previous year, and all of our newest events. Please follow us on Twitch.
Yes, give some love, and then you can go back and watch all like old stuff too, which is great to do. So when you get into those moods and you're like, I want something to watch, like I do. So, Chase, thank you so much for coming on, hanging out, talking to us a little bit.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much to my Lord and Savior JT Dunn for allowing me to do so.
Awesome, guys. It's a busy week. It's podcast week pretty much for me. So tomorrow, Steve Mack is joining us. Rich Palazino is coming on. We can talk to him. Maybe we'll talk to him about, him knocking out JT, all that fun stuff. We'll see Wednesday. And
Alex, this close, Rich. We were this close.
So close. And Alex Colon is returning this Thursday as well. So you guys know the drill. Stay safe. Support independent wrestling. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Just wanna hurt us, bring us down.